was 17. I have cut my hair and donated it to cancer patients. I was like, and now this is the 4th time I'm going to do it just because I shaved it.
Oh, you cut it so short.
You're going to ask me if I'm a lesbian?
Yeah. Is that a known thing? Like short hair equals lesbian? Is that like a common thing?
Stereotype.
Yeah.
It's a definite stereotype. I think I think that, because when I was talking to my parents about it too, they were like, we talked about technology and how technology is getting really, really fast and everything's like really changing in a short amount of time. But I think what people don't understand is that when you look at like a graph, think of it like mathematical, right? Sorry, that was
there you go.
When you look at a graph, it's like exponential growth. Right. So it's not necessarily that this. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
These allergies.
This COVID.
No, I've been camping the past 3 weeks, and like from going from indoors to like pure outdoors, and I had a really nice campfire last night. I digress.
Where did you go? McKinley Falls?
Mm-hmm, McKinney Falls State
Yeah,
Park.
I always say Kinley. I don't know why. Did you go to the falls? I mean, it's beautiful. I just recently kind of found it and went multiple times now. It's like, it's such a treat. You pay like $6 and you get in there. And I didn't camp though.
For the day pass.
That's pretty cool to camp. Mm-hmm. Don't you have to get on the calendar now with COVID and all that?
Yeah, they have to do a lot of reservations. But guys, I am really sorry about her. She's just like really excited to be here.
And try to put her outside?
Should we take a pause break and should I go put her outside?
Yeah,
I think that might be.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No worries. You're good.
Okay, cool.
We don't like officially start ever.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
But
sorry, she just like.
She was just chilling like right before y'all came back. She was like sleeping.
Let me just see if she needs to go.
Looks like she needs to go outside.
She's not excited about seeing the cats.
I like that shirt. You're welcome. What's the matter, Lucy? What's the matter?
All right, if she keeps on, we'll just run with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be all right.
Yeah. She's probably just, because we did just get back from McKinney, so it was a 3-hour drive, so she probably just needs to go for a little walk.
Yeah. Work some of it out. Work some of that balled up energy out.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, so we were just talking about, I know we were talking about my hair.
Yes.
Water over here?
Whatever's better for audio. Do it for the audio.
Do it for the audio, man. Well, so it's your first day officially out as bisexual. Mm-hmm. So when did you know that you were bisexual?
Honestly, my whole life I've just known that I'm different. Not in like a.
Can you move this close?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just afraid of coughing going back.
Oh, you're good. We'll clean it.
I feel like I've always known that I was different.
Yeah.
And I have 2 older sisters. So one's 4 years older than me. And then the other one is another 4, so 8 years older than me. And growing up, I had those 2 women to look at. This sounds weird. What I was trying to say is my entire life I've kind of been in the shadows of my 2 sisters. Not in a bad way. All younger siblings are, right?
Yeah.
But your sister did this, so you do this. You know, they did that, so you do that. So my whole life I was like, okay, I have to be like my sisters. I have to do what they do, you know?
Right.
And it just never felt like still true. I was like, oh, it just feels weird. You know what I mean? So.
What do you mean? Like, so I'm assuming like they were like good at sports and maybe good in school. Is that what you mean?
Yes. So both my sisters, we're all 3 like unique and different in our own way. Like we all have our little niche. One of my sisters was, really great in sports. So the sports that she did, I did. One of my other one is like really introspective and loves to help people. And so that's kind of where I got those characteristics too. So there's a lot of stuff that when, like, I would say the word like projected, right? Like your older sisters did this, you did this. Guys, I am really sorry.
No, you're good.
I was singing so loud in the car for 3 hours now. I was trying to prepare my voice, and I think I overkilled it. I overkilled it.
Like, what were you singing to? Can you give us some?
I got this Hustle playlist I've been working on for
playlist?
It's called Hustle, right? This is any song I've ever listened to that you need to get out of bed at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
It's over 20 hours. It's like almost 400 songs. It's called Hustle. It's on Spotify.
It's like electronic stuff or what?
No, it's just like literally everything from like hardcore rap to like country to piano to jazz to reggae, like literally everything, like Britney Spears, like literally everything. Broadway's musical, like anything that for me personally would just like get me excited and hyped in the morning, you know?
How long you been working on that thing?
This podcast episode is brought to you by BCN Supplements. Mike and I have teamed up with BCN and we're so excited about it. Now, if you're new to the fitness world or you're just starting to get in, BCN has legitimately everything you're looking for. Whether you want healthier hair, skin, nails, if you want to get a good pre-workout drink, or if you want a vitamin, BCN has what you need. One of their products I love is their collagen mix. It's legitimately so easy to use. I know what you're thinking, why is a guy taking collagen? But it helps with everything. Muscle recovery, muscle mass. It helps with your hair, skin elasticity, and you can take it with anything. You can put it in water. You can put it in pancake mix. I take protein pancake mix, so I like to use it in that. Or you can put it in coffee if you're on the go. Just one scoop is all you need, and you're going to help your hair, your skin, muscle mass, your joints, everything. Head to bcnsubs.com to place your order today, and be sure to use CWJM to receive a whopping 10% off your next purchase. And be sure to check them out on Instagram at BCN Supplements. BCN Supplements, helping build a better you from the inside out.
I'd say like 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 2 days.
I created it
On the way here.
No. Yeah.
What do you sing the most to?
Like a genre?
What is your voice match the most? Can you sing?
I can sing.
I feel like
probably not as well right now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see this. Hold on, let me get one more good drink.
Oh, let's hear it.
Is that vodka?
No, it's just hot tea.
Okay.
I might request at some point just another cup of hot water. That would be super great. Okay. How close do I have to get to the mic?
I don't know.
actually.
We've never had a singer.
I don't know if there's
You probably have to.
There. Is this too loud?
No, it's not loud enough.
'Cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. That's off
pretty
pitch.
good.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
It's off pitch. But I do love
That's
to
higher
sing.
than I thought you'd be.
I can sing pretty high. I can also get pretty low.
Let's get it on.
Barry White.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you know that artist.
Why?
I don't know.
I'm
You
just,
surprised me.
all rap all the time, huh?
Yeah, the mustache throws me off.
Yeah.
Do you like the mustache?
I don't like the mustache.
You don't like it?
He
Not a
normally
fan.
has like a very
Stubbly.
crappy beard,
Yeah.
but the mustache comes in thick.
I think it looks nice.
I'm not a fan of the stash. I look too Mexican. She's like, you do.
Everything.
Shit, you do.
Well, you do.
I think like so you can either like if you want to approach it with like this soft cut right here with the mustache. There's a lot of different ways you could do it, or you could clean that and go full stash. But it's also November, so like I feel like there's a lot of like no shave.
That's no
November,
shave.
Yeah, no shave.
Right?
November.
What's the men's one? What's like don't shave your beard one?
No shave.
Yeah, no shave November.
Isn't it?
I thought that's what it was.
No,
I also thought it was for
November.
playoffs with your hat. I was not a good Houstonian. I did not watch the World Series.
Why not?
I've been working on a lot of projects.
Yeah.
I did not watch the World Series.
What were you doing?
Well, that was the month of October. So I was learning everything about my camper. I was learning about the water heater. I was learning about propane, all of my pumps, like literally everything camper related. There's
Did you just buy it in October?
It's a really great question. It's a really great story.
I found it.
So I just found it on the side of the road, finders keepers. No. At the end of September, so kind of like a backtrack.
Let's start with
Okay.
what are you doing here?
What the hell are you doing?
How did I get here?
So you're a photographer and you do a lot of weddings around here, a lot of client work, and then you just sold your house out of nowhere. And then you're gonna go just live in this camper. Tell us about that stuff. Like,
Okay.
Let's hear this. This is good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we talked a lot about like I cut my hair. We talked a lot about like all of that. So think of like the past 18 months as everything leading up to this, right? Think of it as like, the Hansel and Gretel, like the leaving the breadcrumbs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's been events that have happened in the past 18 months that have led me here. Very coincidental moments. How we met at a wedding that I was shooting for like associate shooting. You know what I mean? Like I don't even think I was supposed to photograph that wedding. Honestly, I don't think I was. So it's just funny that like we met and now we're here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to answer your question of like, what is my job? What am I doing here in the trailer? Like, why did I sell my house? So when Bubbles hit, I knew in April of 2020 that I needed to go to talk therapy for a lot of different reasons. I think that everyone should, like, everyone's human. Like, if you're a human being, like, you've had trauma in your life. To some extent, everyone has. Not to be compared to anyone else's. They're all valuable. So in April 2020, I knew I needed to start therapy to get over a lot of my own stuff, which led me to, like, I wanted to cut my hair and I was nervous about what people would think about me. And then at that time too, I knew that I needed to get out of a relationship. I was in a long-term relationship. It wasn't a abusive relationship or anything to that extent. It was just time for that relationship to end. And that's okay. I remember I had another person too who had told me, they were like, there are certain people in your life sometimes who are meant to help you get through certain things, and then that's it. So our relationship ended in a very beautiful way. If there was ever like a definition of a perfect breakup, it would be ours. So cut my hair in that moment of time, and I was like, okay, if I can do this, if I can face my fear of people not accepting me, then I can be independent. Because at that point, we had started dating at the age of 20. I was 23. And when we broke up, I was 28. So I had literally never been on my own, ever. And I was like, okay, again, if I can cut my hair, if I can get out of the fear of like rejection and people that, I was like, I can be independent. I can do it on my own. So we had a very serious conversation. I was like, look, I love you, but I need to figure out who Emily is. So we ended that. Then it came to a point where I was like, okay, well, I owned my house. My dream since I was like 13 years old was to own my house. So after college, I bought my house. And with the housing market being so great this year, I was like, well, I got a couple options. Excuse me. I was like, well, I could sell my house, and then I don't know what I'm going to do after that, but I could sell it, and I can make profit, and I can pay off my student loans, and I can start a new life. Or I can stay in Houston. Because at this point, my business was in Houston. I was shooting predominantly weddings and other portrait sessions. So I was like, I could get roommates. I don't really want roommates. I really need to be by myself. Like, I just don't want anyone's outside opinions. Or, I'm telling you, I was jamming out. I was jamming out to Freebird by Leonard Skinner at least 8 times. So that's
dang, that's like 5 hours of audio.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a 3-hour drive, so it was a commitment. Anyways, so I made the decision to sell my house, and in May, 2 months after that wedding, for 3 weeks, dude, I sold almost everything that I own. I sold my couches, all of my dressers, my everything. I had garage sales. I power washed my entire house, the cement, the back patio, the fences, everything. Dude, I got on my hands and knees with the toothbrush, and I got that grout. And my house, when I bought it in 2016, and I'll tell you this because I think it's important to get the conversation, especially around, because you're men, I'm a female. And I feel like females have always had the stigma to not talk about money. So I'd like to tell you how much I made on my profit from my house, because I also think that it's important to get knowledge out there of what is happening to the housing market right now. In a sense of like, what is that going to look like for future homeowners when rent right now is skyrocketing and, pay is staying here, but yet living expenses are high. So anyways.
Well, real quick, why do you think that there's a stigma around women talking about money?
That's a great question. And it could just be my projection of how I was raised and the how do I say it? Like the people who raised me in that were a part of a certain generation, there were a lot of stigmas in that time era where it wasn't appropriate to talk about your income, and it wasn't appropriate to ask about the dollars and things like that.
You mean like just in general, or for mostly women?
That's a great question.
I think,
and I can't say for in general because I'm not a guy, so I've never been in there in a like locker room moment, but I definitely have been in a situation with women who like no one knows how to bring up the conversation of like money at all.
No,
it's not.
That's a sore subject. Like, I mean, we don't do that either, because then
we don't do it because you don't want to do it.
Yeah, because if I told him what I made, he'd feel bad about himself and feel like he needs to do better and stuff. So I don't want to do that,
Yeah.
That's not it at all.
Well, but it does ruin. it does ruin people. I mean, we've had conversations with people I know, and then someone says something, and then someone gets upset and leaves, and like it's kind of a thing. It starts you start to think like your worth isn't enough because
I think
you get paid differently.
I think it's the opposite. I think you're right. Like back in the day, like family, when you were around family gatherings and stuff, no one talked about it. But more like these days, other people that I work with, like we all share how much we make.
Right.
Some people may be lying about it, but still,
everybody's lying about it.
We all share. Like that way, we can all kind of gauge who's making what for doing what. Well, hey, why is this person making this? I'm doing the same damn job.
Yeah.
I think it's more open.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it from a female's perspective, though.
Yeah. And it still could just be me working through my own fears of asking those types of questions and like being open and honest about it.
Yeah.
But the reason, let's spin it this way then. The reason that I say it's important for me to talk about that financial decision was because I was coming out of a dependent moment of my life, transitioning into an independent, and selling my house and being financially independent was a huge stepping stone for me. And it gave me a lot of inspiration where it's like, if that thing, which is money, was hindering me to be independent, that's not okay with me. So that brings me to my point of like me venturing out now. Like I know I am a great photographer, not only in my skills and in my professionality, but my heart and my passion for this. And I know that I can make this into a 6-figure business easy. But it would not have happened. This confidence right now, me saying these words, like this present Emily, wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have gone through that moment of like selling my house and like,
big steps.
Yeah. You're stepping out. I think that's a stigma for women is you need to get married. That way a man can take care of you and provide for you. And you're obviously saying, no, that doesn't have to be the case.
Mm-hmm. Well, and let's talk about that for a second too, because I don't want it to be like, if the man's like, I want to take care of you, you don't ever have to work. That's a really sweet gesture. Like, let's not make that negative. Let's not make that like, I don't want your help. I can do it on my own. Like INDEP. Yeah. Let's not make it that. Like, that's really sweet. But also like, hey, I actually want to join you at the table. I don't want to just, I don't want to, be put on a pedestal. She's really excited. She really wants to play. You can't play right now. I'm sorry, puppy. This is usually our time that I do take her for an afternoon walk. So
she's like, what's up with that?
Mad. She'll probably do this for a couple more minutes and then she'll sit down.
Okay.
This is her. She'll probably hit her tail against the door to get my attention too.
She'll piss.
She's a very smart dog.
Yeah, for the audio people, Emily brought her dog today.
I apologize.
Lucy. Was it Lucy, right?
Lucy's ready to play.
Yeah.
Well, I have to stop apologizing because I now have a moving home, so she's kind of got to go with me anyway.
She's just a dog.
And she thinks she's human. She will sit on that couch. Okay, I lost sight of the question. Could you repeat your question? Because we were talking about... So
we got into like...
This is, in this moment right here, this is why I'll have to get doggy daycare for like days like this. I love her, but it's really like having a child right now. It's like having a toddler.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's an old toddler though. In dog years, 8 years, what is that? 40-year-old dog?
What is that?
I don't know the conversion.
56?
Dang.
That's quick.
Well, if it's
too quick.
0.3.
We talked about independence. I mean, there's a couple of things. I mean, if you have to have some, in order to contribute, that's having like self-worth. Like if you're not contributing or anything like that, like I feel like I'm not really doing anything, providing. It's like if you never worked again, like that gives you self-worth and makes you feel good about yourself and you accomplish things and things like that. So yeah, it's a big step, like selling your house, and then you have some a lot of money now from doing that, buying the trailer, buying the car, then you can kind of just be independent. It's like very liberating what you did. Yeah. I kind of did something similar to this. I don't know if you've seen the Sprinter van out front. I sold all my stuff to fit in that thing. And then Courtney wanted to get a house. So I had that all planned out. She got the house. She's like, well, do you want to move in? And I was like, sure, for a little while, but I need to do the van thing. And then I stayed in here more and more often. And then the van's not finished.
Yeah.
So, but I felt that minimalist, liberating feeling of like when you start getting rid of stuff, oh my gosh, it like pulls a weight off of you. Like the less stuff you have, the less you're responsible for it. Just, it's unexplainable if you never experience it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think of this. So, one of my therapists that I work with, she's very like energy related. And, when I was going through this whole process, I remember she was like, as you're going through it, like, the very Marie Kondo, like if it doesn't bring you joy, give it gratitude and then release it. So I got to do that with like all of my things that reminded me of my old relationship. And I also got to like, as I was going through, like if there was a certain item where it's like, I felt like I was like, it still had energy towards it, like I would like close my eyes and be like, okay, I'm going to take all of the energy that I gave into that. Rather it was just be like love energy, like the pots and pans that we used, like a lot of love went into cooking those dinners. But I can't use those pots and pans anymore. I can't. I can't.
It's hard to let items go. They do. They have an essence to them that like it's hard to let go. But if you just pull the Band-Aid, it's gone. But it's interesting how that does that. And then even spaces like your house, if y'all were to split up and then that house is still there and those memories are still in there, like it's not going to feel right.
Yeah.
How long, if you don't mind, how long were y'all together? Did y'all plan on getting married and stuff too and all that?
So we were together for 5 years. We had definitely talked about it. We were such good friends. Like we were best friends. Like during quarantine, we never got in fights. Like we were friends. So I think that is what made our relationship really great. But I think that that's also kind of what made this process so beautiful. Like it was heartbreaking going through that experience, and like we kind of went through it together. And like I won't, like what I'm trying to say is it's weird. I couldn't have gone through that breakup without him. You know what I mean? Like he was still a support system. Like, it's like that's your family for 5 years. So I digress into that. I did want to talk on one thing, because earlier you had said you were like, it's the men providing for the women. And I had mentioned something that I was like, I want a seat at the table. And I didn't mean it as like the women are in the kitchen cooking, but I meant it more as like, I want a seat at the table so that my ideas can also be heard.
Yeah.
I just want to invite to the party, I don't have to go to the party, but just like, it'd be nice for an invite.
Yeah.
Do you, maybe that's another thing though, where you're not as involved in the relationship? Like, did he not allow you to do things to contribute?
Oh, no. He was great. He supported me 100%. He's the reason why I started a business too. Like he was super inspirational that, it was something deep inside me that I needed. I feel like, that Avengers movie, right? At the end, the end game.
I didn't watch it.
Oh, you didn't? That's
I watched
okay.
Endgame.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the end game is where it's like, there's a million possibilities, but there's only one that's going to be it. So it's almost as if like, it doesn't matter how many worlds that it was in, like this trailer was meant to happen. This podcast was meant to happen. These things couldn't have happened if we were together.
Yeah.
Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a deep way to answer the question. Yeah, you're very meant to be kind of ideology, right?
We could literally talk here for like 24 straight hours. I could tell you on specific days when I met specific people, when it came back around, that those people then came back into my life. Like you would be amazed how I got the pressure washer for my house lent to my friend. That story would crack you up.
Yeah.
It's so to back to it too. And I was like, I really wanted to start a podcast of like these conversations, just everyday conversations that can still inspire others. I want to start something of like the serendipity of something, because like, I'm not kidding you. Like, we wouldn't have met if I wouldn't have met that person, if I wouldn't have met that person, if that conversation wouldn't have happened, if I wasn't at that place at that time. Like I have my memory works really great with numbers and dates. So I can like how I categorize all of my like footage and stuff. I can remember like, oh, it was February of 2017. Okay, it's going to be in this hard drive. It's going to be on this. Like I have a semi-photographic memory. So
wow,
that was a weird rabbit hole, but
back to your travel trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the first place that you're going, and when is this adventure starting?
That's a great question. So,
well, what about getting the trailer and all that?
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Like, so you sold the house,
Yeah.
you found this trailer, and you decided you're going to take your dog Lucy along with you and not have a place to, you're not going to stay at a specific place. Your clients are going to be everywhere, and you're just going to live life and travel.
So when everything that you just said, like the word intuition comes up heavy in my mind. So as soon as I started listening, and like for the viewers, if you don't know what intuition is like listening to that feeling in your gut. Like, you know, when you go to a certain friend because you want to hear the answer, like, hey, it's a Monday. I've had a really hard day. Do you think I should go to the gym? No, girl, relax. Like, you go get, you know what I mean? I'll call that person if I want that. Or if I'm like, should I go to the gym on a Monday? And they're like, yes, get your ass up and go work out for 30 minutes. Like, you have those friends. So that's my intuition. And I've been listening to my own intuition. So to answer your question of like, this sounds like so sporadic. I literally uplifted my business, and I'm like literally changed my relationship status, changed my living, my address, changed my career. Like, I've changed a lot of stuff, changed my looks. Like, I've changed everything in this short amount of time. But to answer your question is like, I have such a deep rooted feeling that my purpose is to help document and share the stories of people who are like truly in love, or just people in general who have a story to tell that's going to inspire others. Yeah. So, when and Bubbles helped me with that, right? Bubbles, like when I sat with Bubbles, you know, we were all in the house, you know, everyone was talking to themselves, I'm sure, just a little bit going crazy. And I started asking myself those really hard questions. Like, yoga helped a lot too, which was like so purposeful. The last opportunity to get an in-person 200-hour teacher certificate was like the semester before Bubbles happened. So it's like I have all this knowledge now of meditation and like how yoga and breath work can help calm anxiety. So like keeping that in your back pocket. So I used all those tools and techniques to, again, like ask myself those questions of like, what am I doing? What do I want to do? And I've lived in the same 5-mile radius from a child. Like, we grew up in a house, and then when I was 7, we sold it, and we just moved to the back of the neighborhood. It was the same floor plan of the house. It just had a pool. Like, it's the same. The same. Up until I was actually like in 2017, so like a couple years ago. And then my parents sold the house, and like, so I've lived in that one house. Okay, let's call it like 2 small houses. Went to college, and then when I graduated college, I got my job back in my same community. So like, I haven't lived anywhere.
Oh, wow.
So going back to like in May, when I had to think about where did I want to live, I had certain parts of the country that really like pulled at my strings, and I don't even know why. Like, I don't know why Colorado Springs keeps on coming up into my head. Places like Sacramento, California, I don't know why keeps coming up into my head, and I keep seeing it on like books that I read. So I don't know why. I feel like I'm supposed to go to those certain places. But going back to, I was like, well, I could, you know, go get an apartment for 6 months in Colorado Springs, but then what if I don't like it? And what if I want to move? So then I thought about, well, I could Airbnb for a month at a time, like bring Lucy, like go live in Tennessee for the month and then go live here. And I was like, that's so really expensive. And in the long run, like, you know, I sold my house, I made a big income, but I made a big profit, but I also paid off my student loans. Like I did that in August. I sat with that profit for 2 months, and I let that financial security set in to know that like, you're okay. Because to me, financial insecurity feels like death. Like, I feel like it's the game Monopoly or Jumanji. And if I have to put stuff on credit cards, or like if I'm in the red, I feel like I'm going to die. So with that knowledge, my next thought was, and this is another funny story, because I'm going to say like, I lived in Austin for the month of June, but already you're like, why was it a month? Why was she in Austin? Why did she choose Austin? That's a story in and of itself, but I digress. When I was in Austin in June, how do I say this? A like 7-line point connection came back around and was like, I have an uncle that does carpentry and plumbing, and they have a spare bedroom that they rent out an Airbnb with a garage. You could totally, because this was my plan, sell my 4Runner at the time, buy a van, live there for a month. And he was like, literally, like I had the phone call with him. He's like, you just need to buy the supplies and tell me what you want. I can make it. Like all of those things had happened. But in my mind, like funny story too. My car breaks down the same week, like 4 days after my ex and I was like, it's really over now. It's really over. We need to split ways. And he's a car person. And I was like, I can't call him. We are like 72 hours fresh. I can't call him.
Jeez.
So, yeah. So, Rob Auto Spring is my mechanic now. Dude, good guy. Like, doesn't matter. Like, I called him and he like walked me through the whole thing. This is a long-winded story to tell you that I fell in love with my 4Runner over the summer. And I was like, I don't want to get rid of it. Like, it's so versatile. Like, I can be in the city if I need to be. Like, I can still go for, you know what I mean? Like, Lucy loves it. The fact that she has like all the windows. And I was like, maybe I won't. Like, I don't know why, but I stopped researching van conversions. I just stopped. And I stopped working on my business a little bit because I was just like getting so overwhelmed with like so much in my personal was changing and so much of my business was changing. And I was like, I just need to like take a deep breath. Like my whole central nervous system was just like in a complete shock. So, which leads me back to, I lived in Austin for June, and for July, August, and September, I was super grateful that one of my sisters, they have like a 2-bedroom lake house that they are able to, like, that was their investment plans. So they were like, go stay at the lake house for a couple months, like get your feet grounded and like recover from this basically divorce that you just went through. Like, it's fine. So I'm super grateful that I had family I could lean on and did that. And so I did that. And at the end of September, so July, also, this is a big side note, I had the opportunity to go second shoot an elopement, like a dream elopement in New York City. And it was for a lesbian couple, actually. And it was the first one. I think it was like not the first wedding, but it was like the first like true, like you could just feel the love. And I was like, man, it's not that I necessarily like want to marry a girl. I was like, I just want to feel like I can be my genuine, authentic self. Like I want that. So that was just like a little pinpoint. So again, July, August, September, I'm at the lake house, little lake condo, doing my thing, right? Driving to Austin when I need to. Like, it's a 5-hour drive to Houston, but if I got to do it, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I don't want to live in a van. Definitely don't want to do that because I didn't like the idea of having my home and my car. Like, what if the car breaks down, then my home, and like, it's just too much with her. So I just put a rest in it again. I was like, dude, focus on your sleep, focus on eating, and focus on just getting the bare minimum that you need for your business to stay alive. And that's not even necessarily posting on social media. It's like replying to your clients, editing photos, like little things like that. And at the end of September, I had in September in general, okay, I had the biggest meltdown. I had imposter syndrome was like at my door knocking like no other.
What do you mean? For what?
Just that like, I'm not a good enough photographer. You haven't been posting on Instagram, so no one thinks that you're here. Like, you know, you're not even posting once a day. You're a photographer. You literally have content that you're creating. You're not posting once a day, even one picture, little things like that. But at the same time, I wasn't posting because like, I didn't feel like I could be my genuine self. Like, I couldn't talk about how like, I love photographing like the LGBTQ community. Like, I love photographing them because they're some of the most genuine and authentic people I've ever met. But I didn't feel like I could say that. So I just didn't. Yeah. And I just stayed quiet. In September, it got really dark for me. And I remember I was talking to one of my friends, the same friend that I lived with in Austin for the month of June. Again, crazy story. She goes, Emily, you literally sold your house, sold everything that you own and your house in record time. She's like, what makes you think, like, why are you so not confident in yourself that you could find a perfect trailer by the end of October? She's like, that should be your goal. She's like, you just, cause also in this time, like I was doing so much for my business. Like I revamped my entire brand. I made my own website. I was doing shit that I was like not taking into consideration. You know what I mean? Like when everyone's like, how the fuck is she doing this? And I'm like, I'm not doing anything, you know? So she's like, October 31st, Halloween, you can do it by then. So it was the last week of September. And I I called my parents and I was like, because when I sold my house, and mind you, this entire time, I would say like since Bubbles, I was very distant to my family because I knew that there was a secret that I wasn't telling them. And I just couldn't talk to them because I was like, I didn't want anyone to ask me about the breakup. I didn't want anyone to ask me so many questions because I was asking myself already so many questions. So
this is a build up, right? Like this whole experience, like,
yeah.
The breakup and all this stuff. It's like it was really weighing on you at this point, to the point where you couldn't function. Why do you think it all just hit? Like, what caused it to all hit at once like that, and for you to make such big decisions? And why was it affecting you so much at this time? You know what I mean? Because you kind of lived with it for a long time, but now it's like you got this courage of this build up, and you were just like, I have to take action or I can't function anymore. What pushed you to go that far?
That's a great question. And I know sometimes I get on little rabbit holes. You mean like what pushed it so far that I was like the tipping point, like the straw that broke the camel's back?
You at this point you can't even function. You can't even think right anymore because you want to get this out so you can be your own. Because you're feeling great now because you got this thing off your shoulders. But it's like you've lived with this for a long time. Mm-hmm. So why now?
Okay, survival mode, right? Have you ever felt like you were in survival mode? Like literally, you can only think about the next 30 to 60 seconds unless you're dead. Like, have you ever been in a situation like that?
I've been there.
Okay.
When?
It's like it's almost like being anxious, like anxiety, where I feel like I'm gonna die every second, and then once I'm out of it, it is not so magnified. It opens up and it's like, oh, this is life again. But whenever you have anxiety, it's like, shit, I don't know if I'm gonna die in the next couple of seconds or what. There's no guarantees when you're in this. There's no guarantees ever, but it's like it's magnified.
Yeah. Think about this, okay? I have a claustrophobia for space. So think about like being in a coffin and someone just like pouring dirt in, and you're just seeing this dirt, and you're like, okay, there's only so much space filled up. Okay, if they fill one more shovel, that's okay. Like 17 more shovels. Okay, that's like 17 more this. So that was what did it. Like that was it. Anxiety attacks. Like I was having so many anxiety attacks, and I knew my story. Like I've had so many friends and strangers reach out to when I do share parts of my story, like the stuff that like feels authentic to me. I always got feedback of like, thank you for sharing that. That was really inspirational. You helped change my life. And to this whole leading up to this point, I know my story. Like I don't want it to sound cocky, but like I know my story is going to change lives because it already has. Like I've had women cry to me. They're just like, I've done this because I saw you do that. You gave me the courage to do that. So to answer the question of what was the tipping point, it was that. Like I can't hold my story in anymore. And again, my story is on so many facets. It's like getting out of a relationship, number one, that can be a story. Financial independence, that's a story. Starting my own business as a female when my second year literally was during Bubbles. And I was like, fuck it. I trust myself. I don't care what Bubbles does. I know I'm going to find a way to make myself, like, I know I'm going to survive. And I knew too, living in this monetary world, I have to earn an income. And my story with how it can be told, right? And I'm not saying like in a twisted way, like I'm not saying lying about it, but like just how you have a beautiful tablescape, just how your house is, Mike. Like if for the viewers who can't see it, I want to take you on a visual tour. Like it's so feng shui, like as an artist, the compositions, the lighting, like it's so aesthetically pleasing. And when you walk in, you're just like, yeah, like I'd love to walk around this house. And that's how I want to tell my story because it's a beautiful story. And I don't want to just be like, here's all of my rough drafts of all of my stories. Like, no, I want to have it buttoned up, nice, just how I do my photos. So to answer your story, to answer your question, I'm ready to tell my story. Like, I feel like this whole Bubbles, I was writing it. So it's like I couldn't tell it because I was writing it. And now I feel like I've closed a book. I am opening a new book, but like I'm ready to talk about that book, quote unquote.
That's gotta be such a relief. It's like telling, like, if I told all y'all I was a cop for like years and I was like, shit, I've never been a cop, and I have to bring you to work or something. It's like I gotta confess, after all these years, I'm like, John, I'm not a cop.
Sorry.
I mean, that's not the same, but it's kind of, you're living a different identity, and it's probably so nice that everybody you know knows now. Did your friends know a little bit, but before you talked to your parents?
That's a great question. So like friends, I have. When you say friends, like I think of quality versus quantity. So even growing up my whole life, like I'm very introvert. Like I can be extrovert. I do love being extrovert and I do love being social, but I also know that like I have a limit and then I have to be by myself. So that being said, I am very sparsely with my friends. So I'd say I have like a handful or like 2 handfuls, maybe 4 handfuls of friends that yes, it was a very casual conversation, and some of them I've been talking to about like for even 2 years times. I would say only 2 years had I started talking to friends about it, but they were super open about it. But that's because my peers grew up with seeing the same social media or like media as the same commercials as me, so they have a different perspective and they're more accepting. From my point of view, my friends were like really open and accepting, but that's because I chose them, like I chose them and they chose me to be friends. So we already had that accepting understanding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about your family? Were your parents receptive to the news?
Yes.
Did they kind of know a little bit, you think?
That's a great question.
Or friends? Did the friends kind of know?
There's a lot. Okay, so that's like I could go in a lot of rabbit holes with that question, because when you say like, did they already know?
Yeah.
I immediately like, dude, I get angry because you're going to tell me that, let's say this, right? Someone in here is a colorblind, okay, for this like thing. And Mike, you're wearing a red shirt, okay? And Mike is, let's say for hypothetical, Mike is colorblind. And Mike thinks he's wearing a blue shirt, right? And we're going to this concert and everybody's supposed to wear a blue shirt and you're not cool unless you wear a blue shirt. Well, Mike puts on a red shirt because he's colorblind. And everyone's like, oh, I knew Mike was wearing a red shirt. I just didn't want to tell him. I just wanted him to figure it out on his own. And, I'm not going to tell him like, hey, Mike, like, just a random Tuesday. Hey, Mike, I just want to let you know it's okay if you're colorblind. And if you're ever in a situation where you don't know what color to wear, you can always ask me. So I get angry because like, and I'm not on this next part of it. And I'm not going to say who. Right. Because that is that's like going to stay personal. But I did have one of my family members. They were like, yeah, we kind of knew.
Well, what if they were wrong? That'd be horrible.
That's true too.
That's why you don't tell Michael about his red shirt.
That's like, that's like telling women like they're pregnant.
Oh, that's the worst thing ever.
Dude, right? Isn't it such a double-edged sword? Because some women like want to be
They want to be recognized. Right. Yeah.
It's so funny that you also say that, because you are right. Because you know what? I guess I haven't been in that. Well, actually, go back around. A year ago, one of my like friends' moms, we were talking and she was like, yeah, like the daughter who we're friends with, she's like, yeah, she came out to me. And I was like, oh, I could already tell that. And immediately I was like, Emily, why the fuck did you say that? That was really rude, because you also
gay as hell.
Gay as hell. Yeah. Ding. No. But so I was like, I wouldn't want anyone to say that about me. And so in that moment, my mindset also switched. So I guess you are right. Because you're right. The week after I cut my hair, we were at a party and this girl was so drunk and she's like, so are you like a lesbian now that you cut your hair? And I was like, fuck you. And I just like walked off.
But yes.
But you have to expect that a little bit.
Oh, I 100% knew. And
because talking to you at the wedding, I would have never thought, even though your hair was cut. But like I saw the history in your social media of you cutting it and I was like, and I know you put, why you cut it, but I was like, well, she's keeping it for a while. Like you're keeping up with the short hair. And so I was like, very stereotypical. I was like, I wonder if she is. Yeah. But I would never ask you. Like you coming over, I wouldn't have asked you anywhere in the house. Like I was wondering. Like you just don't do that.
This came up later.
Yeah, right? But it's okay. So 2 things on that. So number 1, I am keeping my short hair because it's so nice.
Easier.
Like you have long hair. How much money do you spend on shampoo and conditioner?
None.
How much longer?
I don't wash it.
No, that's okay. That's okay too. But yeah, you also have to think about that. Like if you go to work out, like that TikTok where it's like, well, I just took a shower yesterday, which means that I can work out today, but then I'd have to wash it again. Like
No, that's true. Sometimes I don't run.
That's why he doesn't work out at all.
Sometimes I don't run because I have to wash it, and it's
Yeah.
like I have to shampoo it twice, and then condition it once, and then let it dry, and then like brush it. It's a pain in that. I really want to cut it.
Well, I'm going bald, so I don't have to worry about that.
There you go.
So-
One less
Too
thing.
soon.
One
So
less thing.
were your parents okay with? I mean, not okay with it, but
They
how?
were very accepting. It was the best. It was the best way I could have done it, and
No.
it was great. It was beautiful.
Did you cry?
Oh yeah, I cried a lot.
Were
Did
you
they cry?
scared to tell them? Like,
was terrified.
how was that moment? Like, did you sit them down? Did you call them and be like, hey, I got to talk to you about something? Like, how'd that go?
So today is Friday. So Wednesday night.
It was that recent?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
literally
she just said
yesterday. It was 24
I'm trying to
hours
keep
ago.
up with all these rabbit holes and
I
dates.
know.
Sorry,
I
I'm
know.
trying.
Get my shotgun out here. Get
Yeah,
the
I
driver's
can barely
seat.
walk in here. I'll trip.
I know. I should have told you all ahead of time. Like I find rabbit holes everywhere. So
Gotta watch
anyways,
you.
Yeah, gotta reel me back in. You know, gotta reel me back in.
Fishing over here.
But to your point of like, how did I tell my parents how to know what were the moments leading up to that? So Wednesday night, and I was also they're retired, so they live on like a couple of acres. So I have the ability to go and like park my trailer and connect to water and everything.
Nice.
Yeah, how are we doing on time?
We're doing good.
Okay.
Good.
I will always look at this. Don't worry about it.
Okay. And it was Wednesday night, and I knew that I was coming here on Friday. And I knew that I wanted to be able to come into this podcast because I knew the breakup was going to come up. Everything's going to come up. It's life. It's
We really
my
wouldn't
life.
have brought it up.
Right.
So we're happy you did.
Well, what's funny you mentioned, like some people are like, hey, we don't want to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end up bringing it on, even though we don't talk. It's like when
Yeah.
the microphone's in someone's face, they're like, well, I just went through a divorce.
Yeah, right? No, it's holding up a mirror.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's, talking in general. It's like therapy. You're just saying things out loud. You get through your stuff. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, okay, to answer that, and that's also a funny point too. I video a lot of my stuff. So I actually have video of me.
Telling your parents?
Wednesday night, I was sitting in my casita and I was writing them a letter, and I was like, do I write them a letter and then give it to them and then just like leave Friday morning? Do I write a letter, read it to them out loud and then let them wait? Do I make a video and show them the link? Like all of these Sonic drink combinations, like there was a million combinations, and it didn't feel right to not do it in person. It didn't feel right to not like use my actual voice. It just didn't feel right to not like look them in the eye, you know, to like be in the same, like this is a lot different than being on a FaceTime, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
we can feel each other's energy, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So Wednesday night, I was like, tonight's the last night. You know, tomorrow is November 11th, 1111. I love a good date. Like I love dates. I love
like
numbers.
That's some shit I say.
I love numbers. And I was like, I'm done. This podcast was supposed to be scheduled here. And I was like, it's supposed to happen right now. Like it's supposed to. Like this is the first month. Like November truly is. Like these past 2 weeks, like guys, I've only been with my casita like on the road camping full time with knowledge of how to run my trailer for like 2 weeks. October, I was learning it. And then at the beginning of October is when I bought it. So like, you know, we're fresh out the box here.
Yeah.
But to, again, answer your question, like I just knew when I woke up, I was scared as hell. I woke up a little bit extra early and I took a walk with my dog and I just said out loud, I was like, let there just be like eloquent words that come from my mouth when I'm talking in a way that when I'm done with a conversation, I feel represented by myself. Like I did myself justice. And the night before I had written, you know, like the Rachel Green, like 17 pages front and back. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It was only 3 pages, but I was like, this is too much. So yesterday morning I rewrote it and I was like, what are the key things that I'm going to talk about on Friday that you just
Wow.
need to know? Because I don't want you to hear it from the internet. And it was like 2 things, which I won't get into now because that's just asking for at least a dozen more rabbit holes. And then
We need to name this one Rabbit Holes.
Oh, rabbit holes.
and then and the last one was my bisexuality, which it was like one. The other ones were like 7 sentences. And he was like, last but not least, I'm bisexual. I date men and women. Do you have any questions? Okay, love Emily. And I just read it in I appreciate you asking me too, because like it's a really beautiful story. Like the conversation got up really organically. I already actually had to leave yesterday morning for Austin. That's a different story, but so I was already dressed, ready to go. They had just woken up, and I was like, "Hey, I would really like to share with you my reasonings for like I would just want to share some business plans with you. Do you mind if can we sit down at the table?" So we start talking about it, and they're like, "Okay, well, I guess it's time for you to head out. Like, I hope you have safe travels. Let us know when you get there." And then my dad goes, "Emily, I just want to let you know, you're always welcome here, and you always have a home here. And I know that, your two sisters, they're married, but I want you to think of like me and mom's home as like the hub, and y'all are spigots of a wheel, and you're always welcome to go out in the spigots, but like you can always come back to neutral." And I just like start crying.
Oh no.
And my mom's like, "What's wrong?"
That was like
making me want to cry.
that was a perfect thing to say for
Freaking
dad.
dads, man. They know what to say, don't they?
Yeah.
My dad, two sisters. My dad had 5 sisters.
God bless him.
I know. I know.
5?
And then 3 daughters and a wife. He's been around.
That poor man.
He does a lot of things outdoors. Anyway,
I bet he does.
yeah.
He's just sawing up. I'm building something.
Dude, he's got sheds. Power drills, 4-wheelers.
He doesn't build it. He just goes in and is like,
He's just drill it into a piece of wood.
Right? Just one son. But no. You know what? He's got 2 son-in-laws and 2 grandsons now. So like
Nice.
he's living his life.
I bet.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But yeah, so we got into that, and I was like, "I'm glad you brought that up, Dad. I have one thing to say," and I actually wrote it down on a piece of paper. So if I could just read this letter really quick, and if you have any questions, and then I was like, "I'm probably going to cry," and I just like start reading it. I did after the first one. I noticed that they were just like they stopped breathing for a second one. Because the first one had a lot to do with like mental health, and I think it just made them sad.
Yeah.
So
they probably felt like they did something wrong or raising you, or they didn't.
Yeah.
Like that generation, I don't think their mental health was ever talked about. It was just something that was kind of on the back burner.
Yes. So my parents were born in like 57, 58. So they're in their 60s. They were very much a part of the children were seen and not heard.
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And again, like I don't judge them for sometimes like having that mentality of whichever, but I digress. So I got through that first part, and I was like, "Is there any questions that you have for me so far? How are you feeling, or can I keep going?" And they were just like, "No, keep going." And we talked for like 30 minutes. They're like, "We love you no matter what." We gave each other great hugs, and they're like, "You're always welcome here." And then I sat with that for the day. Like it felt really good. I had to make a huge business deal yesterday, and I just like was riding that high. I was like, "Hell yeah." And I was like, personal life, excellent. I was like, business life, excellent. And then I had this badass campsite at McKinney Falls last night, started my own campfire.
Oh shit.
And I was just like, I took a moment, and I just looked around, and I was like, how the fuck did this happen in like this short amount of time? And it was that intuition. And then I had taken a picture of the letter before I left my house, and both my sisters at this time, it was either like dinner and like baby bath time or like getting out of work. So I texted them separately the picture, and I was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know I told this to Mom and Dad. I wish I could have done it in person, but I can't wait any longer. Like if you have any, yeah." And they were both super sweet. Like they called me, they texted me. They're like, "We're always love you." And I was like, "If you want to share this with my brother-in-laws," and I was like, I just didn't want to put it in a group text because like you're my sisters.
Yeah.
And then both like they texted me, like it was super sweet. So I feel
That's
really
great.
supported.
That's you have to like basically put it on social. Like it's a lot of people to tell.
I know.
Right.
Everybody you want to make sure everybody's up to date.
Mm-hmm.
But well, I
And
mean,
that's
so you
sad.
can be yourself, right?
Yeah.
If one person doesn't know, then it's
Well,
like
and you know what? It's like, yeah, okay. Have you seen? I watch a lot of Friends. Do y'all watch Friends?
No.
Okay,
I watched
let's
I
all
watch some of them.
Okay.
Office.
Well, okay, that's okay. Let's say like, "Hey, Emily, I have someone that I'd like you to meet." Okay, well, now people need to know that like if you have girls that you would like me to meet too, like that's okay too. Like I'm open to everyone. You know what I mean? Like, so anyways, that's
Any friends like think that like you're into them or anything?
no, because a lot of my friends are honestly married.
Yeah.
And I will say like that is something that I'm still so self-conscious about, because while I photograph elopements and weddings, I also find that it's my purpose to help women well, anyone, but specifically women, because we have been for so long, like been told like, you're not good enough, you know, like that cellulite's ugly. You need to fix this about yourself. I just feel like it's my purpose to help them like build them body confidence. So I do boudoir shoots. So it's been making me super self-conscious that like, I don't want people to think that like I'm hitting on you or like this is inappropriate. Cause it's like, you know, I hate this word, like PORN. I hate that word, but I don't want it to feel like, weird.
But there's guys that do it too, but then there's
that's
creepy
slimy
guys too.
though. That's slimy. I think they trust women.
Yeah.
I think women would trust women a little more.
Yeah.
Even in your situation, I would think they still be more than a man.
Yeah. And if you go to so that was something too, like in October, this whole thing was leading up to it. Like I redid my brand. I rebuilt my website. So I feel like now I feel really good because if you go to my website, there is a whole page dedicated.
What's your website?
EmilyWisch.com. WISCH.
I like your name on Instagram.
Yeah, Wisch you were here.
Using your last name is cool.
Yeah, my last name is Wischneski. It's really long. So
oh, that's half of your name.
Yeah,
it's like
that was just Wish. I've known Wishes before.
Yeah, no, it's Wischneski.
Did you almost do Wish Upon a Star?
No, I always did Wish You Were Here because the Incubus song, man. Since middle school, I was like,
that's funny.
That was my.
That's what I thought about.
Yeah, Wish was my nickname.
I know it's Incubus, but isn't it an older song too?
Probably. I don't doubt it. There's got to be another song.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
Yeah.
It's an older band though.
Yeah,
I'll think about it.
I don't doubt it. There's got to be another song that says "Wish You Were Here."
Yeah,
but
hopefully.
Yeah, there's a page on my website where it's specifically like the experience of what a beauty boudoir session's like, and I have like which for right now like it has been friends who have been hiring me. And like they just have the sweetest words, and I even put my own story with my own photos on there too to hopefully get that across. And I think that my next stepping point is again like that camel breaking the bone. Like I want to be able to tell who I am so that I can really tell my story. Like, you know,
do you think we'll ever get like as a society get to a point where you don't have to come out? Like, can you just be like, do you have to
make a statement?
Yeah. Do you have to make a statement? Like, do you have to post it on social media, or can you just fucking be? Like, ever think we'll get to that point? Like,
I hope so.
I feel like we're close, right? Like, if
the kids are making their own decisions now. Is like where we're getting that. Like society is like, and it's controversial. Like some of the kids will be who they want to be, and then that would kind of set it up to where you don't have to come out. You're just always who you are. But it changes too, so I don't know. Yeah,
think of it this way, right? I think it says it takes 5 generations to break something, to like break like a cycle. It takes 5 generations. So if you think about it like this, right? You have kids, and if you have accepting beliefs of like LGBTQ, your kids are more than likely going to have an accepting. And then if they have kids, their kids are really going to be accepting of it. And then eventually, and then think of it like, that's like 3 generations. Now you're like, what, 80, 90, I don't know how old you are. And then eventually like, right, our generation will eventually die out. And it's like 5 generations down the road.
Yeah.
And to answer, dude, when you said, do you think that we'll ever get to a point where we can just be ourselves? Because I did. Tuesday, I was also calling a handful of my friends who are open and like out. I was like, I just need advice. And one of them had called me yesterday, and she's like, yeah, like her experience did not go well. And she was really like, when she did come out, she was just really confused. She was like, why do I have to say that I date women? Like, you don't have to say that you date men, you know, like,
do you think that the LGBT community is kind of making, I don't know how to say that, like making a mountain out of a molehill, or, you know, like
a mountain out of a molehill?
Do you think that, because I feel like in my world, like or let's talk about racism. I feel like racism is dead. There's still pockets of racism, right? I feel like there's always going to be some racism, but as a society, by and large, it's not there. I feel like by and large, everyone accepts if you're gay, if you're trans. I feel like everyone accepts that. Do you like, how do you view some of like the LGBT news? Like I feel like
it's so complex though. Like,
yeah,
you know, her living her life, you know, this way, and then people, you're
I
not
got a perfect example.
Yeah. Well, it's just like you're not in the situation, so your world's different. I feel like
I got a perfect example, like the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Like they push, they'll push like, oh, we need Hispanic rights and blah blah blah. Well, we have rights. Like there's nothing to. You're perpetuating racism as a group.
About it.
Yeah. Do you think that LGBT is kind of doing that too, or no?
I think that so 3 things on that. So let's put that we just talked about racism on one hand, and then we're talking about LGBTQ on 2 hands. Okay. Right. I think that and also like I'm very new to it, so I don't want to.
Yeah, you'll piss some people off.
Don't piss somebody off yet. They just got in the group.
I don't want to talk out of turn. And I also want to say I do not spend my time in the political wheel because it gives me so much anxiety.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
So I don't turn on the news. I don't turn on the news daily. Like I don't have notifications sent to me. So I personally, I don't keep up with all of that. But from when, bubbles hit, as a person with my skin color, I didn't know what to do. Like when George Floyd, I was like, I want to do something. And I was like, but I don't know what to do, because I feel like if I were to say anything, whether that, it doesn't matter what I say, I felt like everyone was going to be like, shut up, you're a little white girl. No one wants to hear from you. We've been hearing from little white girls this whole time. Sit down. So that's kind of what I did. And that's also too what cracked this open. This whole thing was I would love to say that I support POC, but it just feels weird. Why do I have to say that I support POC? And then that's when all of that. So looking at a spectrum like this, right? Let's take Martin Luther King generation, right? Remember the Titans. We can all identify with the Remember Titans, hopefully. And if you can't, go watch that movie.
Need to.
That was the 70s, right?
I think
I'm sitting here saying the movie and I don't even know the.
I think it's 70s.
The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one with Denzel.
Oh, I was basing it back in the 70s. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So let's say that was 50 years ago. But also racism has been going so much far, and LGBTQ with the way that social media, let's say Lizzo, right? Or Halsey, right? And I'm just naming a couple people right off the top of my head who I feel it's maybe grown in a faster rate that this has. If we were looking at a graph, right, we would say LGBTQ awareness, blah, 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 really aware, hyper aware. And then I think that racism has kind of gone just like this.
Did you watch that Dave Chappelle special?
No.
That's exactly what he talks about.
Oh, really?
He says as being a black man, obviously I'm not saying this. Dave Chappelle is saying, being a black man, we sit here and we're like, how the fuck did y'all do this and get that much awareness?
Yeah.
Where the fuck is there? I think he's who do we have sex with?
It's very complex though.
Yeah.
It's so complex because you are comparing 2 different, they shouldn't really be called movements. It's just trying to get everybody, equal rights.
Awareness of it.
And awareness. And it's hard to speak when it's not your story too.
Or you could even say stigmas, because there's so much
stereotypes,
right?
me with your hair. It's there's things there, like you said, 5 generations. It may take that for me to not have that in my head.
Yeah.
You said something real quick though. You said something and we had this guy named Sin City on. He does drag. And he said the same thing too. He said, I need to be careful how I say this because I don't want to piss people off. I think that's why do you have to be careful and step on eggshells when you're talking about, and you're in the community, you're obviously bisexual. Yeah. So why do you have to be careful? Who are you going to piss off?
So I wouldn't necessarily say for me, it's not I'm sitting here being okay, I'm talking to this camera. I feel I'm at the making an inauguration speech right now. But let's say that let's say that for right now, let's say that you have 1 million viewers, right?
We wish.
One day you could.
After this one.
Dude, I believe it. Dude, with the way this house is set up, you could have 1 million for
Thanks
sure.
to Courtney.
But I want to make sure that what I'm saying is an authentic representation. So I'm taking the time to be intentional with my words, and I don't want to say anything that's going to if I listen to it tomorrow, I'll be oh shit, that's not what I meant to say. If I would have just taken a half a second.
But it's okay to
True.
You're having an authentic conversation. It's okay to misspeak and not always have the facts. You know what I mean?
True.
I feel like everyone who talks about something in that community, and I fully accept like be gay and be trans, all that stuff. But if you talk about that community, you say something, you're fucked.
And I think it might also be because I can only speak for me and why I do certain things. But I also have a deep rooted fear that I'm going to be misunderstood. I have a deep rooted fear that like, if something that I say is going to get like misinterpreted by something and like it's going to have my words turned against me. So that's why I always take like an extra second.
Yeah.
Now I don't, and
You
I think
should.
it's, yeah, I also think it's like, out of respect, man. Like I would never want to, I don't want to talk about racism like casually, like dude, like Rosa Parks, let's talk about that. Like I cannot imagine how demoralizing it would have been to be like, you can't sit here.
That's some shit,
That's
right?
demoralizing. So I want to give all my respect to like everyone who's come before us. And also like, this was something, dude, this just gave me chill bumps. Was another, for anyone like, who's like, how did you know that you were bisexual? Or like, how did you know? I love podcasts. I love watching interviews from artists, musicians, actors who I really enjoy like their point of view, or like not their point of view, but like just their thought process. So I remember I was actually watching an Ellen DeGeneres, random one, and she was talking about how, and it wasn't even like on the gay train then, it just like popped up. Like I really like watching Emma Watson. I love her story of how she went through Harry Potter and then graduated from college still, and then the next one was Ellen DeGeneres. And she was like, I just remember walking into the room and I was just like attracted to the energy of this person, and it happened to be a woman. And I was like, I identify with that. Like I am more attracted to energy. Like I'm not attracted to every man, just like I'm not attracted to every woman.
Yeah.
So that's just like a rabbit hole of like, I just want to be respectful of the people who have come before us in those communities who have given a lot, and some of them have given their lives. And I just want to be respectful of that in a sense. So that's why
definitely.
I take an extra step.
Good.
Yeah.
It's true too. I think it's hard for us to understand because we're in Houston. It's very diverse and it's very accepting here.
Yeah.
But there's other areas that it's not, and that fight needs to happen. And there needs to be awareness, but like we're in an area where it's very accepting. That's why we're so accepting of this. This isn't abnormal for us to talk about. This is normal, but it's not normalized in all states and all countries. So it's hard to see when it's not around us.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like looking on Facebook at ultra marathon runners and thinking that everybody knows ultra marathons.
I don't know, but it sounds intense.
But that
sounds amazing.
I'll do the same thing on my feed. I'm like, oh, well, this is just happening, but it's just happening with me.
In your world.
Yeah.
It's a good way to point it.
It's a big delusion.
Think of like okay, are y'all on TikTok?
This guy is.
Yeah.
Like
a little too much.
Are you more for it for like, do you like watch, or do you like producing content more, or do you like watching content more on it?
I would love to like producing content more.
Hey, air 5 on that, because I'm with you on that.
You're good at it. You got this like smile. You
got a TikTok
she's into
vibe.
it. She's like, this is what I'm doing. This is what, like she'll run and like she has like the look. So
I appreciate
you're
it.
gonna do good if you keep it up.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing
dude,
good now.
I'm excited because now there's like nothing tying me back. Like imagine, you know, those you know how like the strongman competitions, they're like, I'm gonna pull this car, and they like, have you seen those ones where they like literally pull like a drag car?
They pull 2 like monster trucks.
I've been pulling 2 monster trucks while doing TikTok, and now I don't have any monster trucks. So it's like, dude, I have a lot of plans that I want to do for my TikTok. Like I want to teach, like if a woman is scared to test her propane, I want to put out a TikTok that's like, hey, this is how you test your propane so that you can have hot water, so you can have a, you know, hot shower after you take that badass hike today. You know, like I want to help you figure out your plumbing system. I want to help you figure out your.
That'll be big.
Yeah.
Moving like a girl, because it's not real. It's not a thing, right? A lot of women don't go out living in a camper by themselves.
It's
or you
definitely
don't see
not
it.
common.
Yeah,
it's
you don't
definitely
see
not
it,
common.
right?
Unless it's not common unless you go seek it out, because you know what? There are so many groups for like specific, just like girls, like Outdoorsy Girls is a Facebook group. They have like, I think, don't quote me on this, it's like 1 million. Watch, it's like 100,000.
It doesn't exist.
It's
Yeah, you know, it's funny you say that, because there's like a podcast for everything. Like Sesame Street has a podcast, and you can listen to Sesame Street stuff.
That's great, but there could be a girl with the same story as her, and it's like, follow it. And it's like all these niches are important, because you probably would like to watch a hunting and ultra marathon, but you might find one that's like hunting and bowling, and you're like, that's not quite it.
Yeah,
I need to find something a little more specific.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh, on that topic, really. Okay, so this is a random one. Going back to when you said, like, can we ever make racism going away? Morgan Freeman said a quote, like, if we just stop talking about it, it will go away.
Yes.
What are y'all's thoughts on this? Because this is something, like, with everything going with Facebook and Instagram, you know how a couple weeks it went down? And then I thought to myself, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, so many small businesses are on, those are their only social media. So if everything fell. And then I was like, okay, well, let's just say hypothetically, TikTok was the only social media. Dude, how niche is your For You page versus your For You page versus my For You page?
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
isn't that so scary?
That's
That
crazy.
like we don't really have control
No.
over the content that's coming in. It's cool. It's really cool because it makes you feel like I have a niche. Like I can relate to that girl in her camper. But also it's like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, the marathon thing. I don't know what you're talking about there. But it's like, you know.
yeah.
So, because earlier, what are y'all's thoughts on, like, do you think that the way the social media is going, do you think that it is going to cause us to go back to a more primitive way of living because we're not understanding how to communicate, like, to some extent? Or do you think it's going to excel our communication skills as a society? That's a really random rabbit hole
that's a
and a
loaded
loaded question.
I think we're going to lose the ability to effectively communicate like this. And then if you follow like the Elon Musk, what is that called? Neuralink?
Mm.
Is that what have you heard about that?
To talk without talking, pretty much.
Yeah. He's
What's it
saying
called?
like,
telepathic. Is that what you say?
I don't know.
Talk without
Telepath-
talking?
But you're talking through
Telekinesis.
data. Yeah. You're talking through data, basically. They're implanting something in your brain and you basically are connected to the Internet of Things
That's terrible.
through your brain. And you can talk to people and you can listen to their thoughts essentially without talking
Is
to
that
them.
real?
I mean, that's
is real.
everything Elon Musk does or says he's going to do happens.
Okay.
So
He has the money to
Call
do
me
it.
crazy. 2023 Jurassic Park. I feel like it's going to come back. If this can happen,
what do you mean, like going to come back? Like the
They're
movie's gonna
making
come?
they're making stuff.
Yeah, it's
I'm
going to come
talking
back.
about like
They're mixing DNA, like monkey DNA with human DNA.
Oh, you think like the real Jurassic? That's why you need to get a gun.
look at the
For the
movie.
dinosaurs.
Guys, look. You know what I was thinking about this yesterday? Like, look at the movie.
Do you have a gun?
That was my 21st birthday present. Was a CHL from my father because
All right.
I did one in low.
Yeah, you need one with that
You
trailer.
need one.
Yeah. Oh, Gator got his gats. Don't worry.
Gator.
Gator?
got his gat.
Gator got his gats. Have you seen the movie Role Models?
Yeah.
Gator needs
Yeah,
his gats.
Gator don't play.
Gator don't play.
There's a line that I really like that I'm not going to say.
Say it. Let me hear it. Just
No, I
say
can't
it.
say that one.
We've said everything else on this
I
podcast.
can't say that one.
We've said
That's fine. I love Will Ferrell's character in that, though. He's
That's
like, he's a
good.
pimp. Like,
When's your last desk pop?
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that is good. I need to go back and watch that one.
Yeah.
So, moving forward,
Yeah.
like you went to Austin, so you're planning on going all across the country, and how, how are you gonna pick up clients and stuff? Like a lot of your clients are in Houston. I guess social media, pick up on clients and go to them, and that's kind of what dictates your travel. Is that kind of how it's gonna work?
Yes, that's actually exactly my plan. So as of right now, I have X amount of months that if I were to have no income, like I'm living off of savings, but I'm still picking up work and like I still have stuff scheduled. But to answer that question, I am, it's not that I'm stepping back from marketing as much as lead photographers. But for right now, I really am like on my website, I made like think of it as like a resume page. It's just like a application page kind of. But it has like all of my credentials. So if you were a lead photographer and I'd be like, hey, Mike, this is my resume. This is how many weddings I've done. These are all behind the scenes. These are my rates. This is everything. And I have a list of like over 200 photographers that I've been following and like building a relationship with on social media of like commenting thoughtful things on their posts. Like they know who I am. Like we swipe up on our stories. And I plan on kind of like cold emailing them and just saying like, hey, like Mike, I've been following such and such. If you are ever in, let's say Austin, let's say they're an Austin local. If you ever need an assistant or a second shooter and kind of go from there.
So you're building a network basically.
Yes. And then
all over.
along that time. So let's say like I am photographing a wedding like in Colorado for March. Well, I'm going to do everything that I can right now to like use my geo hashtags of like Colorado couple like Colorado engagement. And I'll try to go maybe like find people and I'll say like, hey, I saw that you recently got engaged and you live in Colorado. If you would like a free session, I'd love to give you a free mini session so that way when I'm doing work for someone else, I can also kind of use that specific time. Like, let's say the wedding's on a Saturday. Well, I book a session on that Sunday. And then I have content now for Colorado. Now I can use that on Pinterest. Now I can use that on, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Build my, and then eventually it'll go everywhere.
Yeah. Eventually you'll want the traveling girl that goes around and does weddings.
I would love to be the photographer for like van life couples. That's also something I've been thinking about. Like,
that'd be dope.
right? We're all traveling. Like, I want to be the photographer for van lifers.
Or to do a wedding in every state. Have a goal.
Goals.
You should get like a little map, put stars. I mean, for traveling in general, but a wedding, since that's kind of your thing.
For traveling.
I mean, you put a lot of stars. Wedding, elope, whatever you want to do. But that'd be pretty cool. Yeah. So what the future looks like, what's the next spot you're going to go to? Like, how can people follow along with you? How can people like contact you for business or sessions or however you call it? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah. So I think for right now, there would be 3 key points. My website is the first because on my website, it has all of my information.
And it looks great, by the way. I checked it out. You built it pretty good.
I appreciate that. That was like 3 weeks, no sleep.
I'm messing with one now and I know the struggle. It's like not intuitive. I hate it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you. So my website, it's emilywisch.com. Wisch is WISCH, wish.com. And then on there is my Instagram link. You can also get me there. But really, I've really been putting a lot of my energy into TikTok, which my TikTok is also there. It's just a little hyperlink, but it's Wish You Were Here. WISCH, Wish You Were Here.
Awesome. I like it. And we're going to need to have you on, like, after you travel a bit, come back into Houston whenever you have a little session here.
Yeah.
We need to talk to you again, see how you're doing.
Absolutely. A little follow-up.
We'll check in.
It's been fun.
Well,
thank you, Emily.
Hey, I want to say thank you so much for being supportive. It feels so nice knowing that like this was 100% authentic, Emily, and I don't feel like I'm going to be walking away with here thinking like I wish I would have said something different. So I appreciate your space. Awesome. Well, I'm glad we got the real one. Yeah. Thank you so much. No problem. Y'all have a good day. Bye.